Hello everyone, this is the finale of What If Naruto Traveled Back in Time and Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Kakashi trailed behind Obito as he traversed through the mountains of Iwa away from the site of a battle that was already starting between Madara and Naruto. He was trapped in his own thoughts and couldn't find his resolve. On one hand, he wanted to fight for his friend and save him from the darkness. On the other, he knew that his friend was most likely beyond saving, and it was his friend that had plunged the world into darkness and chaos. Thus, Kakashi trailed behind with an empty look on his face hidden behind his half-mask until Obito came to a halt on a mountain about 5 miles to the other side of Iwa. Before the conversation could begin, Kitsuki and 2 squads of Golem appeared behind Obito and they were accompanied by 50 white Zetsu. This caused the trio to pause and re-evaluate the situation. "Please let me deal with Obito," Kakashi said quietly. Itachi looked unsure towards his old Anbu captain. "Are you sure you can do what needs to be done?" Kakashi visibly winced. I don't know, but I need a chance to sort it out." Shisui placed a comforting hand on Itachi's shoulder. "Let him go, cause he will find his way. We have a cage and a bunch of nobodies to clean up." Itachi sighed, but a moment later his visage hardened and his Sharingan flared to life. "Kitsuki is mine. I have to repay the favor for what he did to my father and clan." Shisui shrugged and cracked his knuckles. "That means I get the chumps." "Very well." His voice barely contained his excitement as he removed the dual codicus that were in A.X. guard on his back. Obito never took his lone visible eye away from Kakashi. He had buried his past so deep that it may as well no longer exist, but looking at the half-masked face dredged up memories of past that forced Obito to push him down with vigor. As the battle began, Obito dashed forward with a sickle and katana in much the same way Madara did. He was trained by the legend, after all, and it showed in his fighting style. Kakashi snapped out of his musings when he was forced to deal with Obito's first attack. He withdrew 2 kunai and coated them in lightning chakra. The 2 owners of the same set of Sharingan began an intense duel that darted in between the screams and flying blood from the battles around them. Then, they broke into the fight from canon that took place in Obito's Kamui, because that fight was a masterful piece of choreography and a perfect blend of past and present clashing against one another. As Kakashi laid on the ground with a hole in his gut next to his one-time friend, he looked into the darkening sky and enjoyed the soft patter of the rain falling on his face. He was struggling to breathe from the strain of the battle and the hole in his gullet. As the blood trickled out of the wound and mixed with the rain, Kakashi looked over and saw Obito lying in a similar situation, but there was a Chidori hole that took out his right lung. "I am so sorry, Obito," Kakashi said quietly as the battles continued to rage around them. The tears mixed with the rain and saturated the mask that always hid Kakashi's face. Obito grunted and spat out some blood before he turned his head to look at Kakashi. "That was, a lifetime ago. That life you remember ended when Rin died to your Chidori." Kakashi closed his eyes in remorse and began to sob, which turned into a coughing fit due to his wound. "It was and is the single greatest regret of my life. I know." Obito cut him off in a firm tone. "I was there that day, you know. It was after Madara healed me and I saw you impale Rin with your Chidori." Kakashi opened his eyes to see the pained look on the half-crushed face of Obito. He also saw the hole in his chest beginning to heal. "I want you to know, I didn't do it intentionally. I was trying to fight, and Rin threw herself." "I know." Obito cut him off once more. "That is why I committed to Madara's plan. It was the only way I would ever get to spend a lifetime with Rin." This statement earned a sad silence from the 2 wounded teammates. Shunshin no Shisui blurred around the battlefield in flashes of steel from his dual codicus. As On-Man fell with an afterimage standing over him, the next one was already dying. The teleporting Uchiha decimated the accompanying shinobi and Zetsu alike. All of his speed training with Naruto and the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan he got from Mikoto made him all the more deadly. As the final Iwa shinobi fell, 50 or so after images finally faded out of existence and Shisui turned to watch Itachi finish his fight with the Tsuchikage. Itachi released his Susanoo and let out a sigh as he watched the soulless body of Kitsuki crumble to the ground unceremoniously in a pile of ash. With a pulse of chakra from his eyes, the black flames of Amaterasu fizzled out. He looked around the battlefield and saw that Shisui was waiting for him with his arms crossed. Itachi let out an "HN" and clicked his teeth as he walked over to his cousin. Shisui was waiting with a shit-eating grin on his face as Itachi approached. Well, cos, I think you are getting rusty. I dealt with 2 squads and 50 plebs before you were able to finish off a mere cage. Shisui could no longer hold back his chuckles. HN, he had some decent defenses, Itachi said petulantly before turning to look for Kakashi. He saw the down forms and nodded with his head to Shisui, who simply nodded in acknowledgement. Kakashi felt the 2 Uchiha warriors approaching, and he was glad for the backup. He knew that Obito would heal faster than himself. Look, Obito, I will go with you. At Obito's grunt, Kakashi continued. I will go with you to the pure world. No. Obito cut him off for the 3rd time, but his tone was softer as he too felt the 2 approaching and he knew his eyes could no longer save him. I don't want you to steal Rin from me again. Live this life. Find happiness. For me and for Rin. Tears fell freely from Kakashi's eyes, and the rain turned to a downpour as the sounds from Naruto's fight continued to escalate. Obito continued before Kakashi could respond, I forgive you, Kakashi. Let it go. Itachi approached and saw the wound in Obito's chest regenerating and he moved quickly to apply a chakra lock seal on the downed Uchiha missing Nin. Itachi was surprised when Kakashi struggled to a knee and he tried to stop him, but the man was able to shove his wrist away and Itachi stopped when he saw the resolved look on his elite Jonin's face. Kakashi took a knee over Obito. Then I will send you to her, give her a hug for me. Kakashi whispered softly and affectionately. Obito nodded with a natural smile on his lips, thank you, Kakashi. Obito closed his eyes and barely felt the lightning-encased blow to the heart that sent him to the afterlife. Shisui dropped to Kakashi's side, who had crumpled to the ground once more. He took a first aid seal out of his pouch and placed it over the front and back of Kakashi's wound. As the tags took Shisui's chakra and converted it to healing chakra, Shisui looked down at the pained face of Kakashi. No words were necessary as the 3 understood the gravity of what just passed. That peaceful sentiment was disrupted when a massive flare of yokai proceeded roars from 3 Biju. We may need to go and back him up, Kakashi said as he rose onto his elbow. No, Itachi said firmly. We would only get in the way during such a fight. We will remain on standby. As Itachi finished that sentence, a massive wooden construct that defied logic rose into the skyline above Iwa. All 3 forgot to breathe as the stunned silence was suffused with the sound of mountains crumbling and chakra clashing against chakra. Naruto versus Madara, the real fight. Let's go, Naruto. Kurama shouted excitedly through the mind link as his chakra took form and continued to expand. On the outside, Naruto was rapidly raising into the air on a wooden platform that was fixed atop of a giant visage of Kurama that was fixed into a meditative position in place of a Buddha statue. Behind the wooden Kurama, 1,000 tails splayed out behind the kitsune, and each tail was equal to one of the true 1,000 hands of the original jutsu. As the wooden construct continued into the skyline above Iwa, Naruto cackled loudly as he was finally able to use his trump card. His cackling echoed across the mountain range as he saw the stunned look on Madara's face. Madara shook off his shock and fatigue before he entered into his perfect Susanoo complete with sage markings. He ordered the 3 Biju to attack in unison as he took to the skies above the mountain range. He watched in amazement as 4 tails lashed out and he was able to maneuver his Susanoo to dodge the tail meant for him. He growled in frustration when Isabu's spinning charge was halted and the giant turtle was sent crashing into a nearby mountain. The lava monkey was charging as it hurled giant balls of lava towards the wooden construct, but the monkey was sent flying by one of the tails as the left hand of the kitsune smacked the lava balls out of the air. Son Goku was sent tumbling back the way he came and halted unceremoniously as the base of a mountain that interrupted his tumble. The monkey shook off its disorientation and prepared to charge once more. The 6-tailed slug, Seiken, crawled its way towards the wooden statue, leaving a trail of acid in its wake. and let loose massive volleys of acid that began disintegrating the wooden tail that smacked into Saiken milliseconds later. The wet-sounding smack echoed across the mountains as the wood tail passed through the slug biju and sent acid spraying all over the place. Saiken was forced to shake off the disorientation that accompanied the reformation of her body, and she prepared to continue the fight. As Naruto watched the tail's opening assault, he blurred through hand signs and decided to incapacitate the biju one by one. He finished his hand seals and 10 massive wooden torii gates crashed down onto Isabu and immobilized it completely. Naruto left a wood clone in his place to maneuver the construct as he used Shunshin to appear on the head of the immobilized biju. He gave a compassionate look into the single eye of the turtle biju before he blurred down to the neck of the creature where the massive chakra rod was embedded. Naruto formed golden hands out of his yokai cloak, and with a massive heave he was able to remove the chakra rod. In that moment, he was sent to the mindscape of Isabu and he exchanged fist bumps with the biju. The biju's eyes widened when he got a message and memories from Kurama. Naruto nodded when he received a piece of Isabu's chakra. When the time comes, he would willingly do his part. As Naruto removed the chakra rod, he was forced to dodge an attack of lava and acid from the two remaining biju. He flashed to his wood clone in a golden flash and watched the form of Isabu retreat back into Madara's Susanoo. One down, he thought before he used the statue to block her anic fireball of Amaterasu flames from Madara's Susanoo. 10 tails of the statue formed a wall that intercepted the black flames before the tails separated themselves from the kitsune statue and fell into a valley in between two mountains. The valley roared as the black flames of Amaterasu consumed everything they fell upon. The two joined hands of the kitsune statue glowed as they moved through slow and deliberate hand signs. As the tails continued to halt the assaults of Madara's Susanoo and the two biju, the gigantic kitsune statue halted its movements and glowed brilliantly. Then, the earth shook violently as 10 massive trees erupted from the ground and shredded the mountains they came from. The 10 great trees soared into the skies with their tips in the form of dragon heads above thick canopies. The effects of a super-sized, Hokage-style Elder Jutsu, 10th Edict of Enlightenment, were instantaneous as the charging biju halted mid-stride and sat into reclined positions. The draining effects of the wooden trees that surrounded the biju were obvious as thick streams of yokai flowed from the sitting biju into the 10 great trees. Madara saw the jutsu and knew that he needed to disrupt it. The Susanoo weaved through hand signs and formed a massive black orb in between its palms. Gedo Arts, Chibaku Tensei, Madara roared out as he released the chakra black hole into the sky. This orb was about 10 times as big as the one Pain had summoned in Iron Country, and its effects were immediate, devastating and wide-scale. The shattered mountain range flew into the sky in giant chunks of earth, and the biju were pulled in with earth and debris from the battle. The chaotic pull of gravity even had an effect on the wooden construct, but multiple tails lashed into the crust of the earth kept the great statue safe from the devastating gravitational pull. Naruto blasted off the top of the head of his thousand-tails statue and jumped from rock to reach the biju in seconds. He fought against the insane gravitational pull of the artificial black hole, and he focused on his targets as his short, chaotic journey took several seconds. The golden form of Naruto shone brightly as he landed first on Saiken's neck and ripped the chakra rod that anchored it to the Gedo Mazo out of its neck. He didn't even take half a second to enjoy the small victory as he collected another bit of biju yokai from the friendly slug. He darted higher into the air where the form of the red, giant ape was flailing helplessly in the sky as it was pulled towards the Chikabu Tensei. Another push of Naruto's chakra sent him soaring into the sky directly for the ape. He obliterated giant chunks of earth with an Odama Rasengan, and as he closed the distance, he turned the giant Rasengan into a Raisin Shuriken that screeched through the air towards the black hole. The backlash of the wind blast bought Naruto a second to remove the final chakra rod from Son Goku's neck. With the final rod removed and another sliver of yokai collected, Naruto flashed back to his thousand tails statue as the fading chakra of Son Goku was pulled towards the black hole. Madara was heaving through breaths as he struggled to keep up with the massive chakra expenditure and the rapid influx of yokai combined with the overuse of his chakra. His strained chakra coils burned, and his body struggled to pay the tax, even with the soothing effects of his sage mode. Thus, he was forced to hover above his own black hole and watch as the damnable boy defied logic once more and took 2 more of his weapons from the battlefield. He scowled at the thought of retreat, but he knew that he wouldn't be able to survive this fight against the boy. The moment's respite let him catch his breath and he released the Chibaku Tensei because it wasn't going to be enough to destroy that statue or the Senju boy anyways. Madara called down 10 meteors with the planetary devastation jutsu and he let the gravitational effects fade, which released the small moon hovering over the remains of Iwa Mountains. Naruto sensed the incoming meteors, and he knew he had to deal with the massive rocks falling from the sky. Hundreds of tails lashed out and impaled the rock formed by the Chibaku Tensei that was easily the size of Iwa itself in diameter. A thunderous sound tore through the skies before rocks and chunks of earth rained down upon the landscape and the village of Iwagakure. With the greatest threat dealt with, Naruto focused and sent more tails flying into the air and 10 massive cracks were heard as the flaming meteors were shattered by Mokuton tails that each took the heads of dragons. The superheated earth fell to the ground in small meteorites and showered over Iwagakure and its mountain range. Naruto ignored the falling rocks and lashed out a tail at Madara's retreating Susanoo. The tails formed into dragon heads and wrapped around the legs of Susanoo and dragged it back down to the remains of the mountain range. With a giant slam and a rattle of earth, the Susanoo slammed into the ground. With another slam, a wooden golem jumped on the back of the giant, blew chakra construct and sent cracks etching through the chakra armor. With the tails still wrapped around its legs, Naruto spun the Susanoo around rapidly and threw the Susanoo skidding along the ground. He winced a moment later when the massive chakra construct skidded through a better part of Iwa and tore buildings asunder. He guided his Mokuton statue forward and was able to see the devastation caused by the battle against Madara. He closed his eyes and sensed the people of Iwagakure's terror as they huddled in their underground bunkers. He took a calming breath when he felt them alive, and he took time to form a Mokuton dome around the shelters to protect them from the fallout of this battle. The seconds he used to focus on protecting the Iwa citizens cost him as Madara's Susanoo flew towards Naruto as his 1,000 tails lost massive chunks of wood as it was impaled by 4 swords covered in the flames of Amaterasu. Rather than retreat, Naruto ordered the statue to clasp the 4 arms of the Susanoo. Then, tails wrapped around the chakra construct and immobilized it completely. Naruto took no small amount of satisfaction as he watched Madara struggle in his grasp. With a smirk on his face, Naruto and Kurama used the left hand of the Kitsune statue to rip the armor off of the Susanoo piece by piece. As he removed the first shoulder plate, Naruto opened the dialogue. "Well, Madara, I think it is my win," he said smugly as the Uchiha legend continued to struggle. "You know nothing of peace, boy." Madara spat. "This world will never know peace." Naruto belted out a laugh at that. "You want to know what your plan would have done? Why don't you have Black Zetsu there tell you? He won't be able to get away anymore." The Kitsune's hand crushed the shoulder plates in its hands and absorbed the chakra that once belonged to Madara. Madara scowled as the black creature in his cloak spread across half of his body. Black Zetsu spoke, "Kyubi Jinchuriki, this is unnatural. You were not supposed to know. How do you know about Mother?" Naruto laughed as he moved on to strip the chest plate of the Susanoo warrior. He saw Madara cough out blood as he suffered from the effects of chakra rapidly being taken from him. "Oh, no, your mommy will never be a part of this world again. I defeated her last time, but you corrupted my friend, and he brought about the end of the world. You fools know not what you do." Madara was struggling to comprehend what the boy was saying when visions of Black Zetsu's betrayal and the fight of a previous life filled his mind. Black Zetsu shrieked in response to that. Impossible. Despite the shriek of Black Zetsu, Madara was struggling to comprehend what was happening. All of the work and effort he put into his plan, all of the pain he endured, his triumph over death and defiance of the rules, it was all for nothing. He was destined to fail no matter what, and it was all for naught. Rage encompassed the pits of Madara's soul, and his body was encased in the black flames of Amaterasu. He took no small measure of enjoyment as the creature known as Black Zetsu was burnt into remnants of chakra by flames hotter than the sun. Naruto saw the black flames erupt from within the protective jewel of the Susanoo, and he was pleased to realize that he could no longer feel Black Zetsu. He noticed that the Susanoo was now much smaller as his Mokuton had absorbed the chakra that was used to construct it. The tails constrained around the shrinking chakra construct, and he knew that it was time to end this. Naruto used the left hand of the Kitsune to pluck the jewel off the Susanoo's forehead. As the jewel was removed, The chakra from the body of the Susanoo was instantly absorbed into the Mokuton when it was no longer tethered to its master. Within the jewel that was held firmly by the Kitsune's hand, Madara attempted to use chakra, to use his eyes, to do anything, but alas, he couldn't. He felt his chakra draining and the immobilizing effects of the statue as the jewel shattered into pixels of chakra. Naruto appeared in the palm of the Anik construct's hand next to an immobilized Madara as thick black lines of kanji spread around his body and encircled his eyes. Naruto bent down into a catcher's stance over Madara and spoke softly to the Uchiha warrior. Madara, return to the pure world and watch what I do with this world. I will show you true peace. I will eliminate as much suffering as I can. I will do everything in my power to bring this world into an age of prosperity. If your soul can endure Yami's punishment until I arrive, then I will forgive you for your crimes against my people. Naruto's voice was stern, as if he were talking down to a petulant child. Madara felt weak as he struggled to do anything, including breathe. The chakra pressure was choking, and he realized that this man in front of him was no longer bound by the restrictions of humanity. He could do nothing as Naruto placed a golden, glowing palm against his stomach and he watched in amazement as 3 streams of yokai appeared from the Gedo Mizo seal. Madara and the husk of the Juubi struggled against the pull of Naruto, but it wasn't even a contest. The strength of Naruto empowered by 4 domains of nature and 2 of the strongest Biju easily bested the Juubi's husk and crumbling wool of a man that belonged to the land of the dead. Within minutes, 3 new Biju appeared in Naruto's seal and they were welcomed by Kurama and Chomei. They entered willingly and then assisted in pulling out the remains of their yokai from the Gedo Mizo. The strain of the action took its toll on Madara, and the man struggled to remain conscious and alive. Finally, the final shred of yokai was removed from Madara and Naruto relaxed and sat back on the palm of his Thousand Tails statue. With a thought, he was placed on the devastated remains of Iwa before the statue began shrinking as it was reabsorbed into Naruto. Naruto sat next to a supine Madara, and he opened his final conversation with the man, "Did you ever regret it?" Madara, HN'd, in question and Naruto elaborated. "Did you ever regret betraying your clan, the Hidden Leaf and your best friend?" Madara remained in a contemplative silence and ceased his struggles to break free from the seal. After a minute, he responded, "I regretted it every day. I felt betrayed by my clan, who ignored my warnings about the curse of hatred. I felt betrayed by Konoha because my clan was denied a true partnership in leading the village, despite Hashirama's attempts to place me as his second in command. I felt disgusted because I betrayed Hashirama." Madara finished in a low and remorseful tone. "Then why?" Naruto asked simply. "Because the infinite Tsukuyomi would have given everyone happiness, even if it were fake," Madara answered. "I desperately wanted to live in a happy world where Hashirama and I were able to achieve our dreams." "Why didn't you work with him then?" Naruto asked. "The curse of hatred is a terrible thing, Senju. These eyes make us relive the moment of activation every time they are used. I couldn't get past my brother's death and I always blamed Tobirama for it. For all my strength, I could never forget my hate or see past it." Madara said remorsefully. "Then, find peace and pay for your sins in the afterlife. I disagree with almost everything you have done, but I can admire you for your resolve and dedication to your dream," Naruto said softly. Madara closed his eyes with a peaceful smile on his face and he didn't fight the overflow of Senjutsu chakra. Naruto's hand glowed gold as he funneled natural energy in its raw form into Madara. The man's body rapidly turned to stone and Naruto knew that this would be the eternal resting place of the Juubi's husk. With the Rinnegan no more, the Juubi could never be released from this vessel. Naruto focused and called upon his connection to the earth as the statue of Madara Uchiha was pulled down into the depths of the earth. He would carry that secret with him and make sure that nobody ever discovered the remains of the Uchiha legend or of the Gedo Mizo. With the battle over, Naruto looked around and winced at what he saw. Iwagakure was more devastated than Konoha was in his previous life. He was able to feel the survivors and he removed the wood domes that surrounded their shelters, but Iwagakure was no more. Only a fifth of the village remained standing and the trails of Madara's Susanoo and his Thousand Tails statue left massive trenches in the middle of the devastated village. Other than that, chunks of earth and meteor fragments were scattered around the city and left almost nothing untouched. "Ruto, we are tired. We need to get someplace safe." Kurama said internally as he sensed the drain the intense battle had on his partner. We can take care of the human survivors later. Alright, Q. Naruto replied with a yawn, how is everyone in there? Plenty of room, partner. Plenty of room. I am proud of you. Kurama replied as he shoved his excited siblings away. They were each trying to figure out how to use the mind link and they were beginning to annoy Kurama. Good to know, let them know that I will find a home for them later, Naruto said as his eyes began to droop. Naruto's head turned lazily to the left and saw Itachi, Shisui and a wounded Kakashi. Hey, guys, what's up? He asked through his exhaustion. It was the cheery Shisui that looked around and smirked at him, so, I take it we won. Naruto offered a tired chuckle, yeah, something like that. Tell Iwa I am sorry about the village. Blame Madara. Itachi offered a wry chuckle before he caught Naruto as he passed out, well, everyone is heading this way anyways. Raza and Gaara have the capital locked down, so let's get them out of the bunkers and figure out who is leading them now. Kakashi groaned as the wound on his abdomen protested his movements. I don't think they even have any Jonin left, and there isn't much left of the village. Itachi shrugged, they probably have elders if they are anything like our village. We just need to end the hostilities officially and return home. Sure enough, the allied forces closed around Iwagakure, and everyone was surprised by the wide-scale devastation that was seen. There was open weeping and shouts of frustration when the old and young of Iwa were freed from the evacuation bunkers. The devastation that greeted them was soul-crushing and nearly complete in its thoroughness. Their despair grew when they were made to submit to their enemies that now surrounded and occupied their village. The girls and alters raced to Itachi and relieved him of his burden. They cared for the sleeping Naruto and removed him from Iwa. It was a painful enough day and many of those people would do something stupid if they saw him in such a weakened state. The chakra storm continued for days until it eventually fizzled itself out and Iwa would never forget the greatest defeat or the legendary battle that liberally rearranged its landscape. Kami's court. It took Naruto nearly a week to wake up after his battle with Madara. The stress to his body from rapidly absorbing 3 biju after chucking out a metric crap ton of chakra was severe, even for Naruto. During his slumber, the allied nations attained an unconditional surrender from the remains of Iwagakure and from the Earth Daimyo. Chushimaru, the Earth Daimyo, was forced to eat humble pie and he signed an agreement that he was to decommission Iwagakure for the next 10 years. This condition was added because it was clear that Iwa wasn't going to let go of the grudges anytime soon and nobody wanted to deal with that while fixing everything. Naruto awoke in the Suna hospital and groaned as he cracked his eyes open. Kami, he hated bright white lights and antiseptic smells. Naturally, he was greeted by his girls when he woke up, but he was surprised to see Shion there as well. Evidently, she and the children flashed to Suna when they heard about his prolonged unconsciousness. Thus, Naruto woke up to a hospital room full of family and lovers when he finally woke up. Up in her realm, Kami was watching down on this and she was waiting for her children to arrive to have a meeting that would affect the future of her eternity. The goddess was surprised to realize that she was nervous. She hadn't created a child, more commonly referred to by mortals as gods or goddesses, in over 1,000 years. She hadn't really cared much for or intervened in the mortal world for an equal amount of time and her children were all surprised by her recent changes. As Izanami appeared in her official court and took her seat, Kami looked around and realized everyone was here. Shinigami, the goddess of death, Yami, the goddess of hell, Raijin, the god of thunder and lightning, Susanoo, the god storms and harvests, Izanami, the goddess of land and nature, Susanoo, god of the seas and hurricanes, Amaterasu, goddess of the celestial sun, Tsukuyomi no Mikoto, goddess of the night and moon. These 8 gods and goddesses were Kami's first children and composed her court. Kami rose and addressed her children, I have called you all here today to discuss the completion of my champion's quest and his future ascension to godhood. Susanoo, normally a pretty chill god, but he didn't like the idea of his mother settling for a mortal, interrupted in a huff. Mother, why not just leave it at a fling in your mortal form and let the mortal go through the cycle? Kami's rare anger flared at the slight to her lover and her godly pressure created Susanoo in his seat. You will not interrupt me again and you will keep your unsolicited opinion to yourself. After that, the glowing golden eyes settled back down to their natural beauty, and she continued her address. I entrusted the mortal, Naruto Senju Uzumaki, to restart the new cycle, and I entrusted him with the mission to right the wrongs of the past. HMPH. Sasano huffed, just because my ancestor won and ended your mortal world. Your idiotic progeny caused the end of the world, brother. Amaterasu said coldly. She was still upset that her brother gave mortals the inverse power of her celestial flames when he created those damnable eyes. Kami cleared her throat to halt the argument. I have not called you here to hash out old grudges. The fact is that the mortal realm is now restored and is on a good path. Mother, not to be crass, but the mortal managed to stop this Akatsuki organization the last time around as well. You entrusted him the mission of leading the mortals into a new cycle. I do not believe he has fulfilled that mission yet. Azanami said before continuing. I am pleased with the mortal's control over my domain and his use of it, but my point stands. Shinigami, the second most powerful goddess, scoffed, he has united the humans and houses 5 of the Biju. Not to mention, he retains pieces of 2 others. He will accomplish his task. Sister is right, Yami backed up the Shinigami. I have watched this mortal and know he will not fail. Plus, there is the issue of him now wielding divine power. HMPH. Sasano interrupted once more. Hagoromo had divine power. Kaguya had divine power, and look what they did with it. A millennium of war and destruction is what we got in return for that gift. So, am I to understand that you will not back his ascension? Kami asked with an icy tone that made the gods shift uneasily. Mother, why are you so fixed upon this mortal? It makes no sense. He has 3 mortal wives in addition to your avatar. Raijin shouted with lightning flashing around him. He will inevitably disappoint you and will prove unworthy of divinity. Amaterasu groaned. Can we just get the vote over with? I am starting to remember why I haven't seen my brothers in centuries. Tsukuyomi made herself known for the first time. I agree. I have felt the mortal's soul and I have borne witness to his triumphs. I vote to watch the mortal and reconvene in 30 years. That will surely be enough time for the mortal to prove himself worthy or unworthy. Kami sighed as Tsukuyomi's vote passed and she would be forced to wait on her chosen. She knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Naruto would prove worthy, but it was still depressing for the goddess. She found comfort in knowing that she would be with her chosen, at least in part, for that duration, but it was still depressing. Why did she even listen to her children again? Oh, yeah, she chose not to be a tyrannical dictator. Damned honor and sentiment. Naruto's 21st birthday. Naruto woke up in the fire capital on his birthday surrounded by the women he loved. His baby monitor was going crazy as Richie and Kylie were shrieking loudly. They were the final 2 children that Temari agreed to have because the burden of twins was too much for her to bear. That didn't stop her from loving every single one of her 4 children, and she shuffled out of bed to collect her 2 young twins. Naruto let his eyes soak in her beautiful, toned, motherly form as she donned her nightgown and went to collect the twins. Before Temari could put on her gown, the door to the master bedroom flew open and 9 children rushed in, led by Hashi, and they jumped on their parents' bed. Temari ruffled the hair of Cory and Orion, the 2 of the bunch that were hers, before she left to collect the twins. The 9 children jumped on top of their father and moms with the energy that was unique to children in the morning. Naruto groaned playfully before 9 clones puffed into existence and began wrestling with the children ranging in age from 7 to just under 3. Take it outside, Ino groaned tiredly. Ah, Mom. Hashi protested as one of his father's clones had him pinned on top of his mother. Yeah, Mom. Caitlina, Ino's second child, joined in protest. You're no fun. Before she broke out in giggles from one of her father's clones. Yeah, Mom. It's Daddy's big day. Arasha joined in the shouting until Samui snatched her son from the clone's grasp and hugged the 5-year-old. Samui's second son, I, broke free from the clone and latched onto Samui's shoulders. Yay. Let's go, Mama. We gotta get ready. Naruto's clones brought Shin's 3 blonde-haired and golden-eyed children down to the waking beauty. The goddess vessel wasn't happy about having triplets, but she considered it a beautiful opportunity to appreciate the miracle of childbirth. Reiji jumped onto his mother and hugged her. Get up, Mama. Today is the big day. Kale joined her brother. Yeah, Mama. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, it's a beautiful day. The skies are clear and full of cheer. Wake up, it's a beautiful day. Her soft little voice sang part of the song that Shin used to sing the kids to sleep. Zoe, the youngest of the triplets, decided to jump as high as she could before she knee-dropped her mother's sleeping form. Before the excitable girl could say anything, Shion rose from the bed and scooped the three children into her arms. The gaggle of children giggled loudly as their mother showered them in K. Tsunade and Kurama appeared at the door carrying their son Ruto, obviously named in honor of our blonde hero that means the most to the two of them. What's all this noise about? Tsunade asked facetiously. Granny. The children shouted in unison, and for once the tick mark didn't appear on Tsunade's temple. She was so grateful for the love of her great-grandchildren, but if anyone ever called her a great-grandma, she would use the mountain breaker punch on their behinds. As the children rushed the granny and grandpa, four disheveled blondes got themselves out of bed to get ready. Good morning, Mama, Naruto said through a yawn. Good morning, Q. The two adults nodded their heads, but their attention was consumed by the gaggle of children. Are you ready, my love? Shion asked as she came up behind Naruto and wrapped her slim arms around Naruto's abdomen. Naruto clasped the arms to him tightly and leaned back into the blonde beauty. Just another day, my love. Nuazu is already up and running and Wave is doing just fine. Ino joined the bedside hug. Yeah, but today it is official, and the Biju Accords will be signed. Yeah, Ruto, everyone is here, and it is going to be a good day. Kurama said excitedly. A hectic morning full of children, breakfast, family and friends was hosted by Kinji in the residence of the daimyo in the fire capital. Kinji had proven to be a valuable ally and he was instrumental in the big picture changes that Naruto incorporated throughout the elemental nations. Kinji helped get the other daimyos together, he helped revise the treaties and organize the personnel to incorporate many changes. For Kinji's part, he was grateful for the opportunity to partner with Naruto, and he considered it the honor of his lifetime to do so. As Naruto was finishing up breakfast, his friend, fellow daimyo and fellow actress came up and slinked her arms around his neck. Funnily enough, Kyuki was still blonde, and she had proven herself to the girls that she was into Naruto for the long haul. Over the 5 years she knew Naruto, they had created 4 movies together that all originated from Naruto's best-selling book series. Even Shion, on behalf of Kami, relented and allowed her to join the Sisterhood of Wives, but she said that she would have to wait until Naruto was a daimyo. Perhaps that was why Kyuki was so excited today. The rowdy group of Senju Uzumakis made their way to the daimyo's castle where Naruto would be announced as the daimyo of Whirlpool and Wave. He would give his address and announce his intentions for the nations. He would also introduce the Biju Accords to the public before he would go to the Council of Daimyos to get it ratified. It was set to be a long day, but at the end of the day all of Fire Country would party. Naruto gulped nervously as 4 sets of hands found their places on his back and shoulders to provide support and courage. The roar of the crowd was deafening, and Naruto could see almost every citizen from the Fire Capital as well as representatives from every nation and every hidden village in the elemental nations. His keen eyesight could see all of his friends and their families, his ears could pick up the excitement and his senses were overloaded with the expectations of his audience. Before Naruto was called forward, he took a deep breath and allowed his girls to smooth out his daimyo robes that were a deep sea blue with golden waves hemmed into the robes. He heard Kinji announce him, and he stepped out onto the balcony and was greeted by a roar from the crowd that lasted for nearly 5 minutes before he rose his hands and silence descended over the crowd. He looked to his right and saw the humanoid forms of the 9 Biju standing next to their human partners. He looked to his left and saw the Council of Daimyo and Kage all watching him with analytical eyes and keen interest in their hearts. Naruto took a deep breath and began his address. People of the elemental nations, my Biju brethren and my fellow daimyo, I thank you for recognizing me as the daimyo and leader of Wave and Whirlpool. I swear with all that I am that I will do my utmost to serve my people selflessly, that I will commit myself to my lands and people with honor and integrity as my guiding principles. I swear to do all that I can to help as many people in the elemental nations as I can. Naruto paused here as a roar of cheers and whistles came from the crowd. This lasted longer than the first and he had time to see Neji and Tenten with their baby girl on Neji's shoulders. He wanted to laugh when he saw Chuji tossing his baby boy into the air before Karui bonked him on the head. He nearly guffawed when he saw Lee pumping his fist into the air and screaming loudly with Shizuka next to him with her head in her hands. Finally, he found peace when he saw Mabui, and her child accompanied by Darui. He knew that the child was Ai's and he greatly respected Darui for accepting that honor and responsibility. As the roars died down, Naruto cleared his throat and spoke again. Moving forward, I want to continue the age of peace and prosperity. I want Nuazu to be a member of the nations and I offer it as a neutral ground for all. I want to move away from the past of rivalry, war, devastation and destruction, and my deepest desire is to guide the elemental nations to a brighter future. The future I see for our nations is a future of abundance and innovation. The future I see uses chakra and the miracles it brings to help people. I have no doubt in my mind, heart or soul that if we work together that we will see this brighter future. This time, the cheering was accompanied by a short burst of fireworks and a couple fancy fire jutsu that were blown from the roof of the daimyo's palace. As the show played out, Naruto held up his hands in a request for silence once more. A peaceful smile settled over his face and appeared on television screens around the continent and on the big screens in the plaza. Part of the new peace that we are working towards is redefining the relationship between humanity and Biju. For those that don't know, the Biju, the monsters of legend that we were all taught to fear, are actually chakra enis that were left by the sage of six paths to help guide humanity on the path of Ninshu. In order to avoid a lecture, Ninshu was the belief that, through chakra, humanity would be able to grow closer, truly understand one another, and that understanding would lead us away from war and to prosperity. Naruto paused here to take a breath and let the audience digest what he was saying. Alas, that didn't happen, and humanity took the gift of chakra and used it for war. Man was given the ability to bend nature to his will, and the only thing we used it for was our own selfish desires confounded by wars against our fellow man. I ask you, my fellow people of the elemental nations, do you not prefer how I chose to use chakra? Do you not prefer the prosperous fields, the safety in your homes, the safer and quicker journeys to neighboring lands? Once again, a thunderous roar of approval echoed across Fire Country, and it was accompanied by shouts of agreement from those watching the address remotely. Naruto could feel his speech was working and that it was galvanizing the people. Once more, he held up his hands in a request for silence. This is where the Biju come in. Each of them is a nearly endless source of chakra, and each of them can reshape landscapes, perform miracles that can be used for the benefits of our people, and they are willing to partner with humanity to help us care for this earth. Today, I introduce the Biju Accords to you. These accords will be signed by every leader, every future leader, and every Biju. These accords will end the imprisonment of the Biju, and it will outlaw the use of their mighty power for war. Today, it is my hope that the leaders of each nation recognize that it is time to set aside past grudges and move forward to prosperity. I do not wish to fill you with false hope. Suffering, pain, death, inequality, and the other negative aspects of life will still exist. However, today will begin the international partnership that says we will not let them reign over us. Today, we say that we will combat those terrible realities in unison. Naruto softened his tone for the end of his address. Today, I ask you to trust me. I ask you to work alongside me. I ask that you believe in my dream, and I ask you to trust my 9 partners that the world knows as the Biju. Naruto extended his right hand in a welcoming gesture for the 9 Biju, and they lined up and approached Naruto. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Shukaku, the one-tailed tanuki. He has power over earth and sands and is partnered with Subaku no Gaara. Next, we have Matatabi partnered with Niyugito, the 2-tailed cat has domain over flames and rebirth. Isabu is the 3-tailed turtle partnered with Hakuyuki that can bear the tides of the ocean and the coral that shelters the creatures of the seas. Son Goku is the 4-tailed lava ape that has domain over lava and volcanoes. He has chosen to partner with Mei Terumi, the previous Mizukage. Kokuo is partnered with my wife Temari Senju Uzumaki, and he is the 5-tailed dolphin horse. He bears the power of steam and winds. Saiken is the 6-tailed slug, partnered with Tsunade Senju, the slug Sanin. Saiken creates powerful acid that can be used to break down precious minerals and metals. Chomei, the 7-tailed horned beetle, partnered with Shino Aberame, is the queen of insects and can help increase the fertility of our crops and fields. Finally, Kurama, the 9-tailed kitsune, my partner, with the power of wind, fire and life. I introduce you to them today in hopes that we can move past past transgressions and move forward into a better future. Naruto wasn't surprised when mutterings broke out. Everyone in the crowd had heard of the rampages of the Biju. A fair number of people in the crowd had been impacted negatively by the biju at some point or another. This was a revolutionary idea and there was a fair amount of fear and uncertainty laced into their mutterings. Naruto took a deep breath and had the biju stand behind him before he channeled chakra to his voice once more. The past is there for us to learn from our mistakes so that we may avoid them in the future. I acknowledge the fact that many of you have been hurt by the biju in one way or another. I do not hide from that. However, for the past century, we have robbed sentient beings of their freedom, stolen their chakra and used them against their will to commit acts of war. That is the past. Moving forward, under the biju accords, every biju partner, daimyo, leader of hidden villages and every future leader will sign on to these accords. They will swear to never again raise their hands against humanity unprovoked. The leaders will never order them to commit acts of war or aggression. Their partners will swear to use their powers for the benefits of the many. Once again, I ask for your faith. I ask you to follow me and believe in me. I swear on the Uzumaki and Senju clans, the things I hold most dear, that I will not abuse your trust. Naruto ended his address with a deep bow to the audience and the crowd was hushed for a while before a massive uproar of approval could be heard. Naruto rose from his bow and Kinji came forward to place his daimyo hat on Naruto's head. His hat was a sea blue with a white kanji for 9 on it. His crowning caused another surge of excitement in the crowd, and everyone was ready to move forward into a brighter future. After the inauguration, Naruto pleaded his case to the leaders of the elemental nations. He promised benefits to the signatories, and he heard out concerns from the leaders of many nations, especially the smaller nations. Before the leaders of every nation, the biju and their partners all signed a celestial contract binding them to their oaths. This went a long way to assuage the fears of many leaders. The meeting was long, but it ended with every leader of every nation signing on to the accords. Kami's court, Naruto's 30th birthday. Kami once again summoned her children to her court, but this time she had a smug look of victory on her face, and she was doing very little to obscure it. She looked around at her gathered children and locked eyes with each one of them. Each glance was filled to the brim with, "I told you so," and the goddess of creation reveled in the humbled looks of her children. Today, I have summoned you to readdress Naruto Senju Uzumaki's ascension. Kami began, he has completed both of my assigned tasks and it is undeniable that the world has moved into a new age. The cycle of hatred has been broken and the age of prosperity has started. Each of you has gained devoted followers and risen in power due to the actions of my chosen, my eternal husband. I once again call for a vote on the acknowledgement of our marriage and his ascension to divinity under the domains of fatherhood and innovation. Susanoo stood up. Mother, I acknowledge the mortal, Naruto Senju Uzumaki. This was followed by the other 8 members of Kami's court doing the same thing. The fact that the first acknowledgement came from the previous biggest obstructor stood as testament to the good works of Naruto. Yami yawned. Mother, it has been boring in hell lately. Far fewer mortals are being sent to my domain. You were complaining for millennia and asking for vacations not 20 years ago, Shinigami muttered under her breath. Yami scoffed at that and hemmed with her nose up. Susanoo, god of the seas, looked mighty pleased. The biju, Isabu and Kokuo, specifically, have been a great help in my domain. What is to happen with the biju after Naruto's ascension? Kami tapped a finger to her lower lip. That is open for discussion. I have my reservations about leaving them in the mortal realm without Naruto as their leader. He has assured me that his progeny will be able to manage in his absence, but I have a feeling that is likely to change. Amaterasu, with a small blush on her face, asked, when will Ruto be coming to join us? Kami cast a small glare of possessiveness and jealousy towards her daughter. Ruto will join us upon the natural deaths of his mortal wives. They will each be sheltered and allowed to continue their marriages alongside me in my domain. Lucky bastard, Susanoo muttered, which earned a nod from Susanoo. Kami smiled at her 2 petulant sons. Indeed he is. Now that the vote is approved, I dismiss this council to be reconvened when Naruto is ready to pass from the mortal realm. Naruto's 90th birthday. Good morning, Q. Naruto said as he walked into the quiet kitchen of his home. Morning, Ruto. Kurama said as he sat down next to his partner. It isn't the same without them here. Naruto nodded sadly. I agree. I think it is time for me to go. About that, Kurama said hesitantly, I want to go with you. Naruto looked up. The same ageless visage he has had for the past 60 years looked into Kurama's eyes. I realize that my soul is bound to you, and it is bound to Tsunade. I haven't been whole since she passed. Naruto nodded sadly in understanding. Okay. I think we can arrange that. Will you still buy my partner? Kurama smirked at Naruto as fire reappeared in the red eyes of the kitsune. Always and forever, my friend. Turns out, the other Biju were ready to pass on as well. With their father's dream now accomplished, their power was no longer needed on the earth. They were ready to join their friends and loved ones in Kami's realm, and they all paired the goddess of creation to make it happen. Each of the Biju, except for Kurama, was to partner with one of her children to assist in the domain that fit them best. The Biju each accepted this deal, and Kami allowed them to each have a chosen. A mortal that could carry on their role and will in the mortal realm, much like Naruto was her chosen. Each of these chosen was gifted with the abilities of the Biju, and they had supernatural abilities above normal mortals. Each Biju and God pair had a fun time devising tests and trials for their chosen, and it was all done for the good of humanity and the glory of the gods. Each god had grown accustomed to the praise and joy of their followers, and the divine realm was overflowing with power and positivity as a result. Even Yami had enjoyed the new pacing, and she partnered with Nibi to punish the unrepentant. As Naruto stepped out of his home and into New Azu, he reveled in the glory of the island paradise. The island was about 5 times larger than it started, and it linked to Wave Country via a mile-long bridge that Naruto made. It was thanks to the lava and creation from Son Goku and Kurama that the island was expanded, which served as a testament to the power of the Biju. The city acted as a central trading hub for the elemental nations, and the benefits were obvious. Naruto called for a summit of the leaders as well as a family meeting. He told them of his intentions, and his parting was greeted by wails and protestations of many. His family, now over 400 men, women and children that composed 4 generations, protested the loudest, saying that they still needed his guidance. The leaders each protested the passing of the Biju, but their worries were assuaged when Naruto informed them of the plan for the chosen. After his 90th birthday party, as the sun set over the beautiful ocean waters of Whirlpool Country, Naruto was called to the pure world along with his 9 Biju companions. He would go on to rule alongside Kami and the other gods to care for their realm and their creations as the god of fatherhood and innovation. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.